Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome back to another edition of From the Other Sideline, the first edition of From the Other Sideline on Frogs Insider, part of the Dave Campbell's Texas Football. As you can see, I'm joined by not one, not two, but three special guests this evening. I just spent an awesome hour plus with these three gentlemen from the Tar Pit podcast. We'll introduce them here in just a second, talking about TCU from the UNC perspective. And so in turn, I said, now you got to come talk about UNC with me so that we could get the inside scoop behind what for both of us, at least, all four of us, is the biggest game of the weekend. Might not be the top 10 matchups that we're going to see with Ohio State, Texas, and Miami, Notre Dame. But to me, this is the most important game of the weekend. And it's the only game that everybody that loves college football will probably be watching. So Troy, Chris, and Trevor, Tar Pit podcast, thank y'all so much for joining me. I appreciate you wanting to hang out with me for more time after I talked your ear off here a couple of minutes ago.
I told my wife this one was going to be a late one tonight, so we're super excited to be here. Thank you for jumping on our podcast and chopping it up with us about the Horned Frogs, and we're super excited to be here talking about our Tar Heels with you.
Yeah, and I'll let you guys just kind of jump in with where you want to talk, or I'll just talk over each other the whole time. That's fine too. We're not about audio quality on this side of the building, but I want to start with just kind of, TCU was at a similar position to this back in 2023 when Deion Sanders was kind of the big name and the bright star coming in and trying to do something new and do something different. Chris, you kind of touched on this when we were talking, but feels like a lot of this offseason has been the clickbait and talking about Belichick's relationship with Jordan Hudson. And we haven't talked much about the actual football. Y'all spent some time around the program. You've been through fall camp with him. What do you think Bill Belichick has done for Carolina football on the field that we might see Monday night?
Yeah, well, I'll start it off and then, I'll let the guys go in a little bit deeper. But I mean, if you look at UNC football, it's completely different than what it was a year ago. I'm not just talking about, coaching. I'm talking about the nutrition staff, the media team, the graphic designers. Everybody is brand new. It's a whole new house at UNC football. And you can really not only feel the difference, but you can see the difference. Of course, when I say the vibe is different, people will think, oh, the vibe with the media, the vibe, outside the locker room. But no, we've had the opportunity to have, Miles McVay, the offensive lineman that came over from Alabama, which is pretty neat. He had Nick Saban in his last year before he retired, and now he gets Bill Belichick in his first year. Such a cool story. Come on. And we've also had a lot of the top, commits, Travis Burgess being one of those, and that came on and a few others, and like Zion Smith and Nick Famara, and they all say the same thing. Bill Belichick, he's a normal guy. He tells jokes. They bring kids into the office, whether they're going to commit or not, that they go over game film and they can take something right away from that. He's down to earth. Like when the visits are happening and they have them in the big indoor practice facility they have a big event, Bill Belichick just walks in, picks out a table, and just goes and sits down with whoever and just starts talking about life, football, whatever they want to talk about. And so everything is different. The buzz is real. The vibe is different. And we're really excited to kick this off. But I'll let Troy and Trevor go in a little bit deeper on the football side.
You got it, Trev.
So I'll say, I mean, you said a lot of new. As far as a university, everybody knows Carolina is, you'll say, a basketball school, right? For the first time ever, we've got a huge financial commitment to football. The Chancellor, Lee Roberts, has completely changed that. Belichick, obviously, he was looking to get back into coaching, and North Carolina gave him 10 million plus reasons why he should come to North Carolina and do it here. I mean, he's getting paid a lot of money. There's a lot of money that's in the football program that traditionally wasn't. And when you're paying your coach as much as we are, I want to say he's top 5 highest paid coaches in college football right now. This is something that's not normal for Carolina football. So when it comes to the financial aspect, so I'm very excited for the commitment that the university has made to the football program. But there's a lot of newness. There's also 70 new players on our roster that we have covered all off season and have tried to talk our best about, but really we have no idea, So it's a lot of newness that I'm looking forward to seeing on Monday night.
Yeah, Troy, let me feed that into you then. 70 new players, even in the transfer portal era, that's a crazy number. But there's something that we know about Bill Belichick is he had the Belichick way, the Patriot way, and he had a way of getting everybody bought in and locked in. What have you seen about what he's been able to do so far with this Tar Heels team in order to make 70 guys be ready to play as one Monday night?
Well, you and I and all of us had talked about it before. Carolina's been putting out a mini series called The Come Up, and right now there's 2 episodes out, and you can just see the life being brought to the team. Guys are meshing, they're gelling. One thing that Belichick is, and Bill's, and just the program is emphasized is coming together, everybody doing their job. And everybody being on the same page, and you can really feel, tell that the players take that seriously, and are living that and learning it and bringing it, close to them and making it a part of their, day-to-day habits and establishing that Carolina way. Yeah, it's like Chris said, it's a different vibe in Chapel Hill right now. I'm super excited for them.
Yeah, I think it's so fascinating when you have these big names and these bright stars and these guys that can really kind of pull attention. That can be a plus or it can be a minus, especially in a sport like football. But it seems like Belichick has done a really good job. Despite maybe a few missteps in this regard in the offseason, he's done a really good job once camp has started and keeping the focus on the team and on the players and on the season as a whole. How do you think that the way that he's approached, his first real collegiate job in this era in a way that can set himself up for success if he wants to make a long-term investment, but more importantly, can set UNC up for success because he is an older guy. He's probably not going to be around for the next 10 years, right?
Yeah, it's all about establishing a culture at Carolina, and that's one thing that I've been most excited about with Bill coming to Chapel Hill, and not just Bill himself, but Michael Lombardi bringing a new set of eyes into Chapel Hill and in the scouting department and the recruiting. It's just everything is that they've brought in. And I've lost my train of thought just like that.
It happens.
Just like that. Help me out here, Melissa.
I mean, just talk about the way that he's trying to not make it about himself.
Yeah.
Despite him being the brightest star.
So I mentioned the culture. It's establishing, obviously with Bill coming to Chapel Hill, it's headlines, you know what I mean? But you're really just flushing that out. Make it, make the main, I've always had the saying in football, keep the main thing. And that's going out there and competing at all, sides of the field. Attacking every day. The guys have a saying, go 1-0 every day. And just getting on the same page with that. It's exciting to see. It's a new culture being established at Carolina. And that's something that we've lacked over the last few years is having a really solid culture. So when you talk about future success, I think Belichick is definitely going to, establish a solid foundation in that regard.
And one thing I want to add on that
Absolutely.
real quick. So we saw the distractions and all that stuff come up. But when Belichick was hired, I went out and I bought his book. I read his book. We saw that drop. So one thing Belichick always did, which I never knew, when his team was going to Super Bowls, he handled all the traveling. He didn't want any distractions. Belichick would schedule the hotels. He handled all of that. You wouldn't think the winningest coach in NFL history is handling that because he wanted players what they wanted. He wanted them happy. He didn't want distractions. So we saw all the media come up with the distractions, but all these guys that Chris named off that we brought on the podcast, literally every one of them spoke the same about Belichick. Like it's straight ball. There's that noise, you see it, but it's not inside the facility. So I think, just going back to what he's done his whole career, if there's a guy that knows football, Belichick's at the top of that list. And then from reading his book, he's always done a very good job of eliminating distractions. And they practice like the wild, like even to everything they do. Like it's the simplest thing. He makes things really simple from the football side, but also the daily activities they do. So I think he's done a really good job from our point. What we've heard, of course, not a lot gets out, but it seems like he's done a very good job of doing that.
And And I can add to that, Trevor, a lot of people say, well, of course they're all going to say the same thing. They're coming on your podcast. It's public, right? It's going to be seen. Their coaches at Carolina potentially might see it, or, family, friends, recruiters. But it's even off air, right? Having the opportunity to meet these recruits, or the commits coming in the 26 class, a lot of them, their parents, right? Establishing that we've been able to establish relationship, talking with them on the phone. It's even them have all said the same thing. It's like a family like atmosphere.
That's awesome. And it does, like, I think it's really important for people to hear that side of it, because it's easy to get caught up in the Jordan Hudson of it all, right? I mean, like, that's because that's what drives traffic. And for the non, like, bought in college football fan, that's a way to reach a different audience too. And so just to know that what is happening in that building is all business, I think that's important for people to keep in line. On that note, Bill Belichick was known as a genius a lot for what he was able to do on the defensive side of the ball, right? And he obviously had, arguably the GOAT quarterback. I'm a 49ers fan, so you're going to have a hard time, getting me away from Joe Montana and Steve Young. But Tom Brady was pretty good too, I suppose. But I think the defense is where I'm really fascinated to see, and how what he wants to do, and the difficulty, the complexity of some of his systems can kind of trickle down to the college level, especially with a basically rebuilt defensive side of the ball. What do you think we can expect to see defensively Monday night? Obviously TCU is going to lean heavy on Josh Hoover, so we imagine that the Belichick boys are going to try to take that away. Do you expect them to kind of try to make things difficult, or for Josh Hoover, or what else can we see?
You want me to take that one, Troy?
Yeah, go ahead, Trev.
Okay.
I'll jump in after you.
So I'll say, obviously, Belichick brought his son, Steve, who's worked with him in the NFL. He was last year in the college game at Washington. One thing that Steve did with that defense at Washington, that passing defense ranked second in the country in passing defense. Belichick has always been known for a good defense. North Carolina football has always been known for not having a good defense, unless you go back to the 90s, right? So the university has brought in, like, what have we done wrong? What have we not done before on football? And we're trying to flip it completely, right? So I think the strengths of this defense is going to be the passing. So I'm very excited for this matchup, because on offense, I think you would say the strength of your offense is passing. I think the strength of our defense is going to be the passing. I will say, though, there's some question marks on our defensive line, but the Belichick system, they did a really good job of making things look the same, but it would be different blitzes. It would look like the same coverage, but there's a blitz coming from here. And we went out and got some pretty daggone good guys in the portal, especially at the linebacker position, that are really fast. So I think we'll see a lot of things that look very simple and the same, but a lot of disguised blitzes. And I'm very excited to see the matchup in the passing game, just based off of the guys we brought in the portal, especially in the cornerback room, the secondary, and safety position, but also because of what Belichick did last year at Washington and what he did throughout his career. So it'll be a good test and a good matchup, I think, Monday night.
Yeah, I'll chime in with that too. Trevor talked about a lot of it at the beginning was a lot of new coming to Carolina. We've got some new faces on the defense. Trevor alluded to it a little bit. In our linebacking core, we've got Andrew Simpson, a guy coming out from Boise State. Kamori House is a guy from Washington. But you look at our secondary. Trevor mentioned, TCU's offense being, a good pass heavy offense. I think I'd mentioned they were 15th in the country in pass percentage last year, or frequency. But we've got Thad Dixon at cornerback. He's a Big Ten honorable mention at Washington. Super excited to have Thad. I will say about Thad is the only thing I hate about having Thad is that we only get to have him for one season, because he's a guy that's came in the program and it oozes confidence. I fully anticipate him to have a really good season for Carolina. But then you look across from Thad, you've got Marcus Allen, who's a guy that came in under Mac Brown. He played a lot as a young player, as a freshman. He's played in the ACC championship game, I believe, played in some tough road games and in road environments at Clemson. He's got a lot of experience. But he stuck around with Bill, saw the opportunity, and really came in, decided to come back and be a leader on the defensive side of the ball. And then you got guys, like Will Hardy. We got him coming back at safety, Gavin Gibson from ECU, Price Yates out of UConn, who was a Fenway Bowl MVP from last season. We've got a lot of new faces, and a lot of new names, but they're guys that have played a lot of good football. just looking for a new opportunity, and what better opportunity to come to Chapel Hill and play for Bill Belichick.
Yeah, not a hard sell with one of the greatest defensive minds of all time, and I think it's we don't want to sell Steve Belichick short, because as great as his dad is, he has absolutely carved his own path in the college game, and probably has been someone that Bill has had to lean on because he has so much experience in the collegiate game as well. So that, to me, I think you guys are absolutely right. The passing defense of UNC, which I undersold the secondary. I had some bad information. I heard the secondary was going to be a little bit of an issue. But that secondary matched up with Josh Hoover, these TCU wide receivers, is absolutely going to be the thing to watch. TCU probably cannot win this game without Josh Hoover having a big game, but they're going to need to be able to run the ball in order to allow Josh the opportunity to have that kind of big game. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Across from Josh Hoover, Gio Lopez was just named the starting quarterback for the Tar Heels. Chris, you jump back in here. Why don't you tell us what did Gio do right in order to be named the Week 1 starter, and what does he bring to this Tar Heel offense?
Well, Gio Lopez, coming from the Sun Belt, and not any slight to the Sun Belt. Troy, from the Tar Pit podcast, he I said that like you're not here, but he's a big App State guy. Right. So, like, we have all respect to the Sun Belt. Definitely when, JMU came into Chapel Hill last year and dropped 70. And that was kind of, and then all that happened after that game with the former coach, Mac Brown. Gio, not only was he, paid a lot of money to come here. So I don't think they're going to be putting him on the sidelines, but I will say this. I don't think Bill Belichick is the coach that's going to, regardless of how much is somebody going to be paid, if they're going to, sit, they're probably going to sit him if he's not ready. And so, Gio, winning the job is no surprise. Going back a month and a half ago, we did our QB breakdown, and we all said, like, Gio's going to be the starter. I mean, the Bill Belichick, and crew, they have, with Michael Lombardi, the GM there, they have a whole scouting department. They basically have their whole own section of a floor where they're just watching film. And so they identified Gio. Gio went into the portal, and it was official pretty much right away. So, I think, one of the biggest things was just building chemistry. And I think that hopefully has been established. I'm not sure that we'll see the potential of that chemistry on Monday night. With Gio coming through the second portal, he's only been practicing with the team for, a month and a half, 2 months, per se, but he's built, rapport with, Jordan Shipp, which more than likely is going to be wide receiver 1 going into this year. So I think we're all expecting big things from Gio here at Carolina. I think it all just comes down to how fast can he get his game up to speed at the level of the ACC, right? Yeah, the ACC has kind of fallen back, some would say, over the past few years, but there's still some good teams in the ACC. SMU,
Why are you going to lead? You're on a TCU podcast. You're going to say good teams. You could have gone
in the ACC.
That hurt, Chris.
Miami.
Them burners are coming, Chris. They're going to come.
Lord, I'm clipping that.
You asked for that one, buddy. Asked for that one.
That was kind of just a slide joke too, because you came on our podcast.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
You threw some shade at SMU, and that's fine. Like, I don't have any issues with SMU. I know you do, but I said
it's early. Y'all have only been around him for. I mean, give yourself some. We'll talk in a year or two.
We mentioned our disdain for a certain program down the road to you, so we feel it.
Yeah, but Clemson's in the ACC, but Gio, catching his game up is going to be the biggest factor for him. And TCU, hopefully I'll get some more goodwill built back here. Is that this is no slouch opponent, just a slight few years removed from the national championship. A lot of returning players, a lot of core there. I mean, one of the strongest, I would say, with the research that I've done, and definitely you solidifying that, talking to you with our podcast, giving us the breakdown of TCU going into week 1, is that your cornerback room with Bud Clark, is very strong, right? The secondary is very strong. And so I think that's going to be a very interesting matchup going into week 1 for against TCU. So Gio catching his game up, the game speed, is while it's not the SEC, it's still a move up from the Sun Belt, and only being here for a month and a half or two, right? That could potentially be a big factor on Monday night.
Yeah. And he does have a little bit of a dual threat ability as well. And TCU historically has had some issues with a quarterback that can get out and run. I don't know.
Have we.
Yeah. Well, you won't have to worry about that too much with Josh Hoover, but it'll be interesting to see if they're comfortable using their legs and how good I guess they feel about the rest of the room if they're willing to let Gio get out and run. He doesn't look like a guy that's looking to run. He looks more like a guy that is willing to run. Is that a correct assessment?
Yeah, and I'll just add, and I'll let the guys, Gio, at the Sun Belt level, he would get out of the pocket. If he saw a lane, he'd take it. One of the biggest issues with Gio Lopez's game last year was taking unnecessary hits. We did a show, and we mentioned that in our previous breakdown before we had AJ Jones of Tar Heel 247. He's kind of like you. He's in the room. He does it full time. He's going to the practices. He's been covering UNC sports for 30 years, so he knows what he's talking about. He's on the sidelines for the short 10 minutes that Bill Belichick lets them have, and most of that is Bill Belichick showing them stretching. So, what was that? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, just like Troy did while ago.
Willing to run, not looking to run.
Yeah,
he was taking too many hits.
Yeah, so that's the biggest thing, with Gio Lopez is hopefully that he's fixed going into to this year is that not taking those unnecessary hits, because those hits, and I hate saying this because we got hung 70 on by JMU last year, so they'll probably come for me as well after this episode if they see it. He just can't take those types of hits at the ACC level because they're going to stack up a lot quicker.
For sure. One thing UNC has, and I just need to point this out. Like, we have not mentioned this yet. Y'all went from Mac Brown to Bill Belichick. That's crazy. What a run. Like, what a run of, like, legendary names in athletics. That's just – I know Mac didn't really work out super well there, but –
yeah, Mac brought us back to a spot where, Bill could come in.
You could get a Bill. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Carolina, when Matt came back to Carolina, it was we had we fell on some rough times. We got a hard case of the injury bug a couple seasons at the end of the Fedora era, but then Matt came in and really kind of brought that, hey, this is UNC, let's get the program back to where it needs to be in that national spotlight. And say what we want to about the Mac, Mac, and I'm going on a tangent about him right now, but he say what we will about Mac and how it ended. He did do some good things, and he brought some exciting moments to Carolina. And I'd mentioned it on at the last game of the season last year that whatever I was on an interview, I was going to get a bottle of water, and I ran into a news crew, and I said, whoever Carolina gets as the head coach is going to have the foundation that Mac laid. And it just so happened to be Bill Belichick, and so we're going to see what kind of foundation he's going to set. So
yeah, it'll be. I
didn't mean to go down that rabbit hole, but
what a run! I just tell you, what a run. Trevor, let me get you back involved in the conversation here a little bit. UNC has had some really impressive running backs, had some great running games here over the last couple seasons, especially. Obviously, like Marion Hampton ain't walking through that door, but. There's still some talent back there. TCU really struggled to stop the run early on. I think that's a problem that got addressed as the team got more comfortable with Andy Avalos' system. But until we see him do it Monday night, it's going to be interesting to see. How do you think the running game factors into this matchup? And can UNC do they need to rely on Gio, or do you think the running game can kind of help prop him up as he gets his feet under him?
I think the running game is going to be huge. If we win this game, it's because we ran the football well and we use that run game to bring out Gio's play action, get him outside of the pocket and utilize his feet if he needs to be, or he's throwing off a play action. But the running game, although we lost Amarian Hampton, we've got 3 guys, maybe 4 or 5 guys in that room that's made a little noise in the offseason that we've heard about. We've got a guy in Davion Geist that started as a true freshman last year. Hampton was out when he started, but he came in and started, I believe, week 2 or week 3 and went over 100 yards. as a true freshman at running back, which is it's usually you don't see a true freshman because they can't pass block playing that early in their career, right? We went out and got a transfer from Michigan in Benjamin Hall, who was a highly recruited guy coming out of Georgia. He's a bowling ball. We've had big talks from him in the fall camp that he's been showing out. And then we've got a Caleb Hood, who's one of the best athletes on the team if he can stay healthy. He was a quarterback in high school, a guy that was a North Carolina Gatorade Player of the Year. Like Caleb's a very good football player. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. And then to feed off of that, we brought in 6 starting offensive linemen from other programs. So we really the first thing that this program when Bill got it was they wanted to build the team from the inside out. So they got really good offensive linemen we brought in. We've got 3 running backs that are very capable. And so if we're going to win this matchup, the running game is going to be a key. And you want to get the running game going early and especially on first down. So that'll be a huge difference maker and something to watch.
All right, I'm going to go rapid fire with you guys here and the last couple of questions. So first thing, I want you each to give me a player to watch on offense and a player to watch on defense. And whoever jumps in first gets first choice of who to talk about, and then y'all got to pick somebody different.
Jordan Shipp.
Okay, so Jordan Shipp, wide receiver. What do TCU need to be watching with Jordan Shipp?
Jordan Shipp can do it all. He's a highly recruited 4-star. He was a freshman last year. Bill Belichick and staff came in, and they said, we don't know why this guy wasn't playing 50 snaps a game. And that was some of the frustration we had with Mac. There was a lot of players that we weren't sure why they weren't playing over other guys. So Jordan Shipp is a baller, and they're already saying that if he keeps going, he's an NFL wide receiver. So
and then who's your defensive guy to watch?
Defensive guy to watch, I'm going to go with Price Yates. He was the MVP of the Fenway Bowl. He's a guy that we didn't get to see in the open practice because he's battled injuries throughout his career, but he was one of our top gets, and he's an edge guy that's going to need to apply pressure. And I know you said in your podcast that the tackle position was something that you weren't sure about, or is maybe if you had to say something, yeah. So I'm going to say Price Yates.
All right.
I'm going to go Kobe Paysor on the offensive side of the ball. My guys know that I'm a huge Kobe Paysor fan. He's been around the program for a while. One of those vets in the wide receiver room. Kobe's a guy that had battled some injuries, but when he's on, he's on. He's probably arguably one of the best, if not the best route runner in that wide receiver room. He plays more of the slot position as opposed to Shipp, where he's more on the outside. But Kobe's a guy that can run every route in the route tree. He's produced at a high level. We had Josh Downs, who's now with the Indianapolis Colts, a few seasons ago. Kobe was very young in his career at Carolina, came in and played and contributed pretty well against a highly anticipated App State matchup up in Boone. Kobe's a guy that my guys know I'm a huge Kobe Paysor fan, and I would expect him as a name to watch out for.
And on the defensive side of the ball, who you got?
Defense, I'm going to go Gavin Gibson because he's a guy in that safety. I mentioned Will Hardy earlier. Gavin's a guy that came in from ECU. And you have those players in college football when you turn the tape on, just their attitude that they play with and the swagger that they play with is what sticks out. And Gavin's that guy to me. We've seen, tapes and stuff of him coming down, and I fully anticipate Gavin to come downhill on somebody and lay the wood to him. So he's a hard hitter coming from ECU, and I'm super excited for him.
Chris, who's your offensive player to watch?
So I'm going to go really random here. I'm not going to go by who, and this is no shot at you, Troy. I'm not going to go with my favorite or anything like this or what anybody's going to expect. I'm going to go with Jake Johnson. See, I've got both of them to go. And this is because we've heard nothing about this tight end room throughout the whole offseason. We brought in three tight ends from the transfer portal. And Jake Johnson was a very highly touted recruit. He's the brother of Max, which is going to be our backup quarterback. He had the horrific injury last year in Minnesota, and so there's that connection there with them two. But Jake, this is his year to turn it on. I mean, unfortunately, last year he got the injury bug, but this is his year, and it's just going to be interesting. Is he going to be able to turn that switch on or not?
I like that. We haven't talked a lot of tight ends. That's a good pick. And then defensively, who's a player TCU fans need to be aware of?
Yeah, so I was gonna try to go with somebody random, not to call Jake Johnson random, but just a random player that not many people are talking about. But mine is Kamori House. He's been a lot of talk about him in the offseason. When he came into the game as a true freshman over at Washington last year, he made plays. And he's been showing out in camp. He's got a win first or a team first, win and then a win first mentality. And so I'm just really excited to see what he can do. I really think him and that linebacker core, if they can put it all together with the communication, that they can do great things.
All right, and then my last round robin question for you guys. And Trevor, I'm going to start with you because I think I know your answer to the first one because you kind of alluded to this already. But if UNC wins Monday night, tell me what went right. If TCU beats UNC Monday night, what went wrong?
So what went right is and Belichick stresses this, every guy just did their job. And that's a coach answer, but the run game worked, right? We were able to, the team who I think runs, if there's a big difference in the run game, whoever obviously runs the ball for a lot more yards probably wins the game, right? There's question marks in y'all's run game. So I think we ran the ball and we controlled the game and we slowed down y'all's offense because of the controlling the clock and controlling the tempo of the game. If it goes wrong, I'll say our offensive line, with some injuries that we've had and some concerns on the offensive line, they kind of let us down, and we aren't able to protect Gio. We aren't able to run the ball.
Yeah, and we didn't really. I forgot to bring this up, but UNC is likely starting their third string center ostensibly, right, on Monday night. So that'll potentially.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something to watch. Troy, what went right if you win? What went wrong if you don't?
I think we win. What went right is Gio comes out and really establishes himself as the future for the Carolina program. I remember when Sam Howell committed to Carolina, we played South Carolina up in Charlotte, and a lot of the talk was, take the training wheels off of him. Gio's played, at the college level. He's produced at South Alabama. He's a dual threat quarterback, and there's a lot of anticipation on what we're going to see from Gio come Monday night. But I think if if it goes right for Carolina, Gio has a great game, and like Trevor said, everybody does their job. Offense is clicking on, all 4 cylinders, or all 8 cylinders, I should say. And yeah, I think Gio's got to have a good game too. Make this the Gio game, not Bill Belichick.
Game. All right, the Gio game.
Yep, not Bill Belichick's first game, but the Gio game.
The Gio game. And then if TCU goes into Chapel Hill and gets a win, what went wrong for the Tar Heels?
I think it would have to start on the defensive line. TCU's known for having, a pretty good passing attack, with Josh Hoover and the guys that he's got around him. I think if Josh Hoover gets a lot of time in the pocket and really, gets methodical with the offense, and your receivers are able to, gain yards after catch and make big plays. I think that, that could spell disaster for Carolina. I don't know how big of a disaster, but I do think if it goes wrong, that's the reason why.
And Chris, close us out. What goes right in a UNC win?
Like some of the guys I've already mentioned, the O-line. I have major concerns about the O-line going into this game. I'm just really nervous. Like if Christo Kelly is not able to go at center, we're talking about somebody that's really never played center before. I believe that's right. Isn't that right, guys?
No, he played some center.
Okay,
but not at this level. Not at
some
this
center,
level.
but coming over the last few weeks, it hasn't been looking too great with him at center. And then there's also some rumors about a true freshman starting as well at a different position, but that's to be seen. So them being intact, having their communication, able to protect Gio, and having a strong run game, that's what's going to have to go right, in my opinion, for this to go in Carolina's way.
And I think I can probably guess on the other side of that what goes wrong.
Well, I mean, it comes back to the O-line, right? But I just want to piggyback off because I was gonna. I don't know if you saw my facial expression, but when
I thought I stole your idea.
You did, and just to add on to that, there has been a lot of question marks around this D line coming into this year. that they don't really most. There's just been a lot of questions about who's going to step up. Right, there's a lot of potential in the room. Dontre Robertson that came over from Florida. Played as a true freshman, mountain of a human being. And then also, our edges, are they going to be able to, really step it up at this level, and the players they brought in through the transfer portal. And so that's my pick there.
Y'all threw me a curveball and had me do a prediction. Any of y'all want to go on record with a prediction?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first since I if that's okay.
Go for it. Absolutely.
So I'm trying. We did a prediction show. I think, was it last weekend, guys? Yeah. Oof,
Yeah.
so much
Last
content
weekend.
being put out. I forgot, but last week I can't remember my score, but I'm pretty much I was going to lean towards TCU 24-21. And so hopefully that just shows we're not just homers, right? So, and for me, that really just goes down to two things. That comes back to the O-line. I'm not really confident going into this game, which is super unfortunate because this O-line going into this season, a month, 2-3 weeks ago, before Austin Blasky broke his foot, was one of the strongest groups on this team. A lot of leaders and veterans across the line. So that's that for me.
I'm sorry. Chris, you cracked me up, bro. I love you. It's my guy. I'm gonna go. We did do our record prediction. We had Carolina winning. I think it's going to be a close ball game. Anxious to see how both teams start out the season, but I've got Carolina winning this one 28-24.
28-24. What about you, Trevor? You're the tiebreaker here.
So as the tiebreaker, and if you know me, I'm probably more like these guys will give their honest take. I'm a little more of I'm a real fan at heart, I guess you could say. But
Carolina blue
I just
glasses, my guy.
I just can't say I just don't want to see the commitment we made to this football team. We got the greatest football coach of all time, Bill Belichick. I don't want to I don't want to wake up Tuesday morning and watch ESPN talking about how he just lost his first game, and it goes on and on and on.
Oh,
right?
Trust me, I know what that feels like.
Yeah, right. So I'm gonna say Carolina wins. I'm gonna say I don't remember what my score was when we did our prediction, but
I didn't remember mine either.
Yeah, I'll put our score. Melissa, you had the under when we asked you.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna say Carolina wins 28-21.
28-21. Okay.
Melissa,
win.
can I add one more thing?
Please.
I will add that while I have us losing, and I talked about that in our show, our prediction show we did, is that, my heart wants to say that we're going to win, but just my mind is pulling me in the other way. But I will say that Bill Belichick and Michael Lombardi was very strategic in how they went throughout the portal. There was two different ways. They found veterans that have played at high level. Thad, Simpson coming over from Boise State. They've played in big time games, big time ball, big time moments. And then they found a lot of players also that were highly touted recruits coming out of high school. Like if you really go into the depth chart, that for some reason at whatever school they were at, like a Shamar Easter at tight end, one of the best tight ends in the country, number one tight end in Arkansas, one of the top players in Arkansas at that time, committed to Arkansas, was just not able to flip the switch. And there's multiple players on that roster that came through the transfer portal like that. If Bill Belichick and company can figure out how to get those light switches to turn on in conjunction with those veteran leaders coming through the portal, like Thad Dixon and Simpson in the linebacker room, that's going to be
look out.
That's going to be scary.
That's going to be scary.
Look out.
Chris, tell people where they can find y'all's work and the Tar Pit podcast.
Yeah. So, is it okay if I throw that at Troy?
Yeah.
So, and I'm only do that out of respect for Troy. He's the founder of the Tar Pit podcast. So I want to let him get his thought in here on that.
Yeah, no, man. We appreciate your time, Melissa, having us on. Everybody that's tuned in tonight, you guys can find us on all of our socials at the Tar Pit Pod. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok at Tar Pit Pod. Also, you can find us on YouTube at the Tar Pit Podcast. we're growing. We're growing. This thing started out with a Facebook group of about 2,500 members. And it just expanded to where we're at now, thanks to Chris, thanks to Trevor. And we appreciate you again, Melissa, for having us on. But yeah, find us everywhere on social media at Tar Pit Pod. We'd appreciate the support. If you guys know any Carolina fans that are looking for some homegrown content, send them our way. We'll be sure to take care of them.
Absolutely. Definitely check it out. I know there's a lot of TCU fans headed out to Carolina this weekend. So tell us about the live show, too, where they can catch you guys pregame.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass that one to Chris because Chris hooked us up with that. I'm super excited for that. Chris, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, it's actually an awesome story. Like we thought we had a really good chance of hosting a live show at a very awesome and there is a potential to have it there in the future, and it ended up working out. And so I was like juggling around last minute, right, trying to and I just called one of the most historic hotels in downtown Chapel Hill, right? That's massive on game days. Everybody's there on the front lawn playing cornhole, live band, music, food, drinks. I mean, it's kind of I don't know if bougie is the right word. Is that the right word, guys?
I love a bougie place.
It's not that all the Rams Club members, because we're all 3 Rams Club members, but the top people hang out there and socialize there and stay there. It's a good time, right? But everybody is all types of people are there. So it's at the Carolina Inn. It's a half a mile from the stadium. Easy 10-mile walk.
10
Troy.
10 miles.
We ain't walking 10 miles.
I ain't walking 10 miles.
I am not.
I'm rescinding my agreement.
Half a mile, 10-minute walk. And Troy informed me the other day it's a gradual incline, but not too bad, to the stadium.
Apple Maps.
But yeah, so your very own Melissa's going to be there. I think we decided on 4:30 to 5 for you, right?
Believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, believe so.
Yeah, we're going to have somebody there as well that's from ESPN. That's gonna be there as well to give his insights and things like that. So it's gonna be a good time. It's just us hanging out, talking ball, and just having a good time.
Wait, do I have to follow the ESPN person, or is ESPN going before me?
He's going before you.
Ah, shoot. Okay, I got to follow professional. That's right. I promise I'd be unhinged. So y'all that listen to the show, if they listen to the Hot Takes episode, you know how that went. So
we'll be sure to get you hooked up to where they can tune in to you too.
We'll have a great time. I'm super looking forward to it. Appreciate the invite. Gentlemen, thank you guys so much for taking the time. I feel like we're all best friends now because we spent about 2+ hours together. So
just never mention SMU. Never mention it.
So you did it again, Chris. You did it again. Chris. Do y'all have SMU on the schedule this year?
No.
Okay. We may see them in the ACC championship.
Okay, they're not making the ACC. Come on. We'll see. Appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you check out the Tar Pit podcast. And thank you all, as always, to Dave Campbell's Texas Football for hosting the show and giving us opportunity to get these previews out. So it's going to be a great time Monday night. We'll see a lot of y'all there. In the meantime, we'll do what we did to end yours on the count of 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Go Heels.
Go Heels.